What is going on, people? This is Jonah Pipney back with another sports reaction, and I'm talking about Chicago Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers in this Week 17 matchup. And with the playoffs on the line, the Bears right now are wondering, will Green Bay Packers play their starters out of spite to just try to keep the Bears out of the playoffs, or will Green Bay rest their starters and give the Bears a chance to make it to the playoffs? But right now, I'm here to break down the keys to the game for the offense and defense, no matter if they have to play the starters or not of the Green Bay Packers, what they need to do to basically propel themselves into the playoff picture. And starting off with breakdown number one is that Mitchell Trubisky has to continue to spread the ball to every skill position available on the field. And he's going to have to continue that trend against the Green Bay Packers in order for this Bears offense to be successful. Now, this Bears offense has been on a tear, scoring 30-plus points in the last 4 games and also scoring a season-high 41 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I do believe that this trend will continue in the next game against the Green Bay Packers. But one of the main things that has to happen is that Mitchell Trubisky has to stop playing hero ball. He has to know when to just take what the defense give him, like he's been doing basically throughout these 4 games, and just throw the ball away when it's not there and stop making those boneheaded throws that cause turnovers and make it hard for your defense to continue to have to make plays for you. What Mitchell Trubisky basically needs to do is just continue to play complimentary football and just cut out those small little mistakes. And the Bears will definitely get this victory against the Green Bay Packers, which I believe against rather the starters or if they rest the starters in this game. And now jumping off to breakdown number 2, and that is to continue to get Montgomery the ball. Feed David Montgomery. Now, in the game against the Jaguars, of course, David Montgomery did have 23 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown, but David Montgomery could have definitely carried the ball even more, and that could have possibly taken away that errant throw from Mitchell Trubisky, possibly, if the Bears choose to run the football just a little bit more. They have found their identity, and their identity is through running the football with David Montgomery and then doing play action off of that and bootlegs and constantly feeding every different type of receiver down the field. And that's what opened up those slants for Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney and Anthony Miller, and that opened up those stream routes, just basically streaming down the field for Jimmy Graham and Cole Kmet. But like I said before, it all starts with David Montgomery. You have to feed him the football. Now hopping on to breakdown number 3 is to continue to feed Allen Robinson the football and also to find a way to get Anthony Miller more involved. Now, we know about Allen Robinson. He is a terrific football player. Against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he did have 10 receptions for 100 plus receiving yards yet again. So we know what we're going to get out of Allen Robinson. Just continue to feed that man the ball. He is a beast. But we know, on the other hand, Anthony Miller's role has been reduced and Darnell Mooney's role has increased drastically. But still try to find a way to get Anthony Miller the football. He only has 2 receptions. In this game, he had 2 receptions. In the last game, he really has not been getting the football. So he can make some plays in the open field. So hopefully the Bears can find a way to spread the football also to Anthony Miller, because he can also be dangerous in the open field. Now, if Anthony Miller was to get involved, that would definitely make it a lot harder for defense, because that puts another body out there for them to have to cover, and then they cannot put all their focus on Allen Robinson, and that make it easier for Darnell Mooney, Jimmy Graham, and also Cole Kmet to have success. Now, one of the main reasons why this Bears offense had so much success in the past 4 games is because they had better receiver play from the number 2 receiver, and also better tight end play, not from just one tight end, but both tight ends. And with Darnell Mooney taking more snaps over Anthony Miller, he has found a way to make even more plays than he was already making simply making guys miss, and he still has yet to drop a pass. And like I've been saying before, the Bears have found their number 2 receiver. But all the Bears need right now is for their tight end play is to stay consistent. Just need Cole Kmet just to have a few more plays out there on the field as a receiver, and that Bears offense can be even more potent and more dangerous than it already has been over the past 4 games. But now we are switching over to the defensive breakdown, and the first defensive breakdown for this Bears team is to stop the run more consistently. Now, we all know that this Bears defense has been inconsistent all season against the run. They even gave up a few big plays early in the first half against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I was very upset about. And the Bears defense cannot allow those type of plays to happen, and the linebackers cannot afford to keep getting caught up in a wash early in the game, which is allowing those running backs to break free in the open field and run the football for 15, 20-yard plus gains. Now, in the second half, the Bears defense did shore that up for the most part. And they did shut down the running game, and they did make it difficult for Mike Glennon to be able to get passes off from them. But in the first half, everything did not look that well. Mike Glennon looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback early, throwing the football over the top, and the rush defense just did not look good at all. So hopefully that rush defense can improve and just be able to stop that Green Bay rushing attack, because they are a very potent rushing attack. They are a two-headed monster, and the Bears definitely have to find a way to stop that. And if this Bears defense can stop that rushing attack, then they are moving one step closer to making it to the playoffs. And most importantly, getting a victory over our division rivals, the Green Bay Packers. And now transitioning over to breakdown number 2 is very important, because the Bears really did not get a ton of pressure on Mike Glennon today, and that is to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and do not allow him to just stand in the pocket and just look for the open receiver, because if Mike Glennon can find the open receiver downfield and make some plays, Aaron Rodgers will be able to torch us for touchdowns constantly. So the Bears definitely have to make sure that they're able to do that. Now, that is just me assuming that the starters do play for the Green Bay Packers. It's just that I just have this some type of feeling that because they just don't want the Bears in the playoffs, and they just have another way to sticking it to the Bears, that they will have their starters play and just basically try to stick it to us, just give us another big middle finger, and that's just how I feel about it. And because of that possibility that the Green Bay Packers might send their starters out there to just to dash the hopes of the Chicago Bears is going to have to practice like they are preparing against the first stringers, and just make sure they stay focused on the task at hand and don't think about so much of the playoffs, but just think about defeating the Green Bay Packers. And that will be the next step that propels the Bears to get them to the playoffs. So the Chicago Bears have to make sure they put constant pressure on Aaron Rodgers and do not allow him to extend plays, because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best quarterback in the league, at extending plays and finding the open wide receiver down the field to stream it down there for an open touchdown. And now we transition over to the final defensive breakdown. Breakdown number 3 for the Chicago Bears, and that is to improve in coverage. The coverage for the Bears has been trending down so far for the past maybe 5-6 games. So hopefully that Bears defense can shore up just a little bit more. But the man that they need back so then their defense can be just that much more dangerous, and that is Jalen Johnson, who is still out with a shoulder injury. As of right now, I have no update on his condition, so I do not know if Jalen Johnson will play against the Green Bay Packers. So if Jalen Johnson cannot go against the Green Bay Packers, that is a huge blow to our Chicago Bears defense, because they definitely need him to shore up that coverage a lot more, and that can definitely help our defensive chances of making a turnover and helping the Bears, like I've been saying before, propel them to that playoff picture. Now, for some reason, if you're wondering why I keep saying playoff pictures, because that's what this game is about, propelling the Bears to the playoffs, giving the Bears a chance to do some damage in the playoffs and possibly even get lucky and go far in the playoffs. And like I said before, winning this game against the Green Bay Packers seals it up for the Bears, stay in the playoff picture, and then they have a shot to do some damage in the playoffs. And that was the final defensive breakdown, and now we're transitioning over to the predictions. And why I say predictions is because, of course, there's going to be two predictions in this game. It's either the Bears win or the Bears lose. And I'm predicting if the Bears do win this game, it is in a very close shootout. The Bears win this game 35-30. And if the Bears do lose this game, it's because the Bears offense did not play well and the defense did not do enough for them, and the Bears lose this game 30-20. And that's if the starters do play in this game. But either way, Bears fans, what we want the most is for the Bears to win this game, and also it would just be lovely to beat the Green Bay Packers. And that is it for the predictions. But before I end the video, I have to give a shout out to King Capers. He provided me with some valuable information, a Bleachers report to basically show you how well Trubisky has actually done compared to other first-round picks from their first 4 seasons. And you can clearly see Mitchell Trubisky has the best winning percentage, not only out of Wentz, not only out of Watson, but also Baker Mayfield and also Ryan Tannehill. So that do just to show you how much the narrative is going on with Mitchell Trubisky and how much the fans definitely do not be paying attention to the game because they are too busy listening to the big TV shows, if not on Fox Sports 1, on ESPN or whatever, and instead of just looking at the eye test and clearly seeing that Trubisky is a winner and he is the best quarterback for the Chicago Bears. But this is Jonah Pibney back with another sports reaction, once again bringing it to you with the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers in this Week 17 matchup. And with the Bears' playoff hopes on the line, let's see if they step up to the challenge and push their way into the playoffs. All right, people, peace out and go Bears.